I am a married man of 10 years. Recently, a significant change has occurred in my stable married life. I thought I would share what happened on this channel. That change is that I've fallen in love with my wife's aunt. I heard this comment when I went to the bathroom after marrying my wife. Wow, the groom is really handsome. He's tall, has a small face, and looks much better than the bride. It's true. I'm tall and handsome, but my wife is rather average looking. Why did I marry someone who does not match me? My wife, whom I met in a college club, fell for me at first sight and actively pursued me. Soon after, our precious child was conceived in my wife's womb, and we got married. Since then, I've played the role of a faithful husband. We have a cute son who looks half like me and half like my wife, and our family of 3 is living an extremely ordinary and happy life. My son sleeps with my wife, and I'm often relegated to my son's room because I snore loudly when I sleep and because I'm utterly exhausted. Although we looked like a harmonious family from the outside, our marital relationship was somewhat sparse. Then a woman came to me. She is my wife's youngest aunt. My mother-in-law is the eldest of 4 siblings, and the youngest aunt is a whopping 17 years younger than my mother-in-law. The aunt is still unmarried and is 7 years older than my wife. She is close to our age and feels more like a sister. The aunt is doing business in the Philippines and is still single. Working in a hot country has given her a nice tan, and she is tall and curvaceous, quite unlike my short and chubby wife. When I saw the aunt, I felt something different. I was really happy to meet the youngest aunt, who had always been close to my wife and her sister. She came to Japan for some work, and I went to airport to pick her up. She hugged me, saying, "Nephew, long time no see." As she had lived abroad for a long time, she hugged me without hesitation. I couldn't help but feel her vitality and warmth. "Auntie, you look really healthy," I said, to which she replied that I didn't look like a father and still looked like a bachelor. When I asked how long she would stay, she said a week. When I asked if she had a boyfriend, she said she didn't see any men she liked in the Philippines and wanted to meet someone in Japan. She was a little disappointed that her stay was too short. I brought the aunt home, and in the meantime, my wife went grocery shopping with our son to prepare the aunt's favorite food. As soon as the aunt arrived at our house, she went to take a shower. I felt embarrassed at how my body reacted to seeing her healthy physique. When I was young, I was the object of envy when I went to the bathhouse with my friends. And now my wife, exhausted from child care, keeps her distance from me, and I am somewhat dissatisfied with our sparse marital relationship. After her shower, the aunt came out and sat on the sofa, drying her damp hair with a towel. She was wearing hot pants and a shirt that came down to her waist. Her tanned skin looked very healthy. Seeing the tall and slim figure of my aunt, I felt a response again. She confidently walked around the house in a short outfit. When I was dating my wife and visited my mother-in-law's house, I saw the aunt, who was a working woman, beautiful and slim with a cheerful and bold personality, and I heard that the men around her were dashing to meet her. I was so excited to hear that such an attractive aunt would be staying at our house for a week. She asked what I usually do on weekends. I told her I usually go to the playground with my child or rest at home watching TV. She asked if I was going to rest at home this weekend too. I told her that since the aunt is here, we would go out to wherever she wanted. She suggested going to a nearby valley. She said she sees the sea every day so she's tired of it and really wants to go to the valley because it's been a long time since she last went. Then she asked about how things were going with my wife. I told her there was nothing particularly wrong between me and my wife. She said that my wife is too much of a housewife style and doesn't take care of her appearance. In comparison, she said I looked great with no fat and no signs of aging. She said it looked a little foolish for my wife not to dress up when living with such a wonderful husband. Then she asked if we were having a lull in our relationship. She asked if I slept in the same room with my wife. I was taken aback. No matter if she's my wife's aunt. It's shocking that a virgin who's never been married would ask her nephew-in-law such a thing. I told her that I was relegated to my son's room because I snore heavily, and our marital relationship is very sparse. I honestly told my aunt that I have a dutiful relationship with my wife. I said my wife is always tired and inactive. I said it's very different from when we were dating. Our love has cooled down, and there's no fun anymore. But then I heard something surprising from my aunt. My wife lived with the aunt when she was in college. At that time, the aunt had been working for a few years. After graduating from college, my father-in-law got us a 3-room villa near the college we attended. The aunt had 1 room, my wife had a separate room. And since they were women and had a lot of clothes, there was also a room for clothes. I visited my wife's place, had a drink and had fun with the 3 of us, and when it got late, I had a good time with my wife. I thought the aunt was tired from work and sleeping, so I cautiously approached my wife. But the aunt said she had seen us making love a few times. She said the first time was a coincidence. She said she was very pleased to see her nephew married and doing well. She said she was surprised and confused when she first saw it, but later she became fascinated by it. She said she unknowingly felt good at the sound of her nephew's groans and felt envious. I was very embarrassed to hear that from my aunt, but I couldn't stop the reaction in my body. I knew the aunt had dated a man. When I asked if she had a serious relationship with him, she said she had experienced it because he wanted it, but she didn't have a good feeling. But she said when she saw me, she was honestly very cool and curious. I felt different about the healthy aunt. Then the aunt sat next to me on the sofa, snuggled up close to me, and asked if I would lean on her. I said of course I could lean on her, even though they used the same body product. The fragrance from my wife and my aunt was clearly different. The scent I felt from my aunt was more vivid and attractive. I found myself wishing that time could stand still. My aunt looked at me as if she had read my mind. She asked, "Nephew, shall we take a chance?" And we made love on the couch. She remarked, "Aren't we being too bold?" And we passionately shared our love and had a very satisfying time. Right then, we heard an announcement. "Your vehicle has arrived." It seemed that my wife had returned from the supermarket. We rushed to the bathroom to clean up. My son was bragging about the toys and books his mother had bought him at the supermarket. My aunt was pretending to sleep in the small room, and my wife said, "Aunt, you must be tired from the flight. I'll make you a seafood soup that you like, just wait." My son was happy to see his aunt, and she played with him enthusiastically, pretending to be awakened from sleep. My wife prepared dinner. My aunt and I ate naturally, as if nothing had happened. My wife said, "I have to catch up with my aunt today, so you sleep in the kids' room." Thinking about what had happened with my aunt made me very happy. I was so relieved that we were able to hear the announcement just in time. My wife fell asleep while talking to my aunt, and I couldn't forget about my aunt. I gently touched her, and she looked at me with surprised bunny eyes. She smiled at me, put her index finger to her lips, and made a silent gesture. She quickly got down to the floor and came into the kids' room, and we did our thing, holding our breath. My wife was asleep, unaware of anything, and we had a good time twice before dawn. While staying at our house, my aunt played with my son and went out to meet friends during the day. The morning before she was to return to the Philippines, she sent me a message. "Nephew, I have only one day left before I go back. I'm so sad. I hope you can take a half day off from work if possible." I found my aunt, who was so proactive, very endearing. Fortunately, I wasn't busy at work, so I took a half day off and met my aunt at the agreed place. We were able to make love without anyone's interruption. 3 times, in fact. My aunt said her ideal type was me. I tried my best to be endearing to her. She whispered in my ear, "Nephew, next time I have time, I will come to the U.S. without telling you. Let's meet then." Indeed, if I were to go to the Philippines to meet my aunt, my passport would be stamped, which would be very dangerous. I was sad that I wouldn't be able to see my aunt for a while, but I was so happy to have created wonderful memories with her. I was thankful to my wife's grandmother for giving birth to such a charming aunt. The day my aunt left for the Philippines, I lavished love on my wife. I felt very sorry to my wife in my heart, but I made love thinking of my aunt. My wife was annoyed and asked why I was bothering her, but she seemed to enjoy my vigor already.